Thank you.
It's perfect. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Kigali Business Council. I want to welcome everybody. We're very excited for the conversation for today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I don't want to take much before I introduce our moderator today, Rolande Pryce, the World Bank Country Director in Rwanda. For Bank, I want to remind everybody two things. One is please remember we're on the record for this section. And second, as our moderator dive into the discussion with Dr. Yunus, please send questions, and then we'll have the last 10 minutes when you can ask questions, and it will be very interesting for the discussion to everybody from questions. So we have 429 people. So that's a lot of people. So we'll try to take as many questions as possible. But I don't want to take much time, please. Rolande, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Professor Yunus,
Hi.
It is indeed a great privilege to have the opportunity to speak with you today. I am really, really humbled. Your life's work is but your life's work is very much in line with the mandate of the World Bank, that is to eliminate extreme poverty and to boost shared prosperity. As a Nobel Prize winner, as a distinguished professor of economics, I just really, I mean, it's one of my dreams come true to be able to speak with you today and to ask you about your work over that time. We're speaking to you from Kigali. It is establishing the Grameen Bank, which is what you won your Nobel Prize for. You started this bank in 1976, and it was revolutionary at that time. Could you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start that bank?
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be with you. I'm here in Bangladesh, in my home. Stuck in my home for the last 10 months, didn't go out like many people around the world. So this is the situation, and I'm very happy to get to talk to you and express my feelings during this pandemic. And regarding Grameen Bank, it was not actually any inspiration, but extreme frustration. That's what pushed me into doing things. Frustrations about the situation that prevailed in Bangladesh at that time. I'm talking about 1970s, early 70s. Bangladesh became an independent country coming out of Pakistan. We rebelled and we had a liberation war, and we became independent at the end of 1971. And then I came back from the USA, where I was teaching, to become a teacher in a Bangladeshi university. And that's what I was doing the work. And extreme poverty all around the university campus, because it's located right in the middle of the villages, unlike most of the universities. And we see extreme poverty. At the same time, we are hit by a famine in 1974. People are dying of hunger all around us. And that's kind of hit me. I'm teaching economics, all the great things that can be done with economics and all the beautiful things that we can achieve. And I say, what is the use of talking about this when you see people are dying and you can't do a thing about it? So that's the frustration part. I said, the economics is something make-believe stories. It has nothing to do with the real people. So I wanted to see if there's something as a human being I can do for people right there in the village next door to me. It's not somewhere else. It's right there where I live, where I teach, where I work. So I started going to the village every day, talking to people. My ambition was to see if I can be of some help or be useful to at least one person in a day or something like that. And nothing much more than little thing that I can do, because I thought I can't have the capacity to do any big thing. So I'll do whatever a small thing comes across my way. When I started doing that, that helped me to understand the people, know the people in extreme situations that live through. And I tried to do something one after another, little things, and made me a little easy. I thought at least I'm being useful to somebody. I'm not a useless person. I had a feeling that I'm totally useless person. I have no use for anybody else. So here I see I have some use for somebody. And I saw the extreme exploitation by loan sharks. And that's what I got stuck with. Is I see people who are victims of the loan shark. I see people in the village who are the loan shark. They're nice people, but they're loan sharks. And the extreme conditions they impose in their loans and so on. So I was trying to see if I can help those victims overcome this just situation. And I thought, instead of trying to overcome, why don't they stop the whole time for one individual so that he or she doesn't have to go to loan shark? So the idea naturally come, if I provide them the money, then they don't have to go to loan shark. They don't become victims. So I started lending money out of my own pocket. It was just a personal thing. And it became very popular. And I started giving more money. I had plenty of money because I'm coming from the USA. I got a lot of money I earned as a professor there. So I was using that. And it became so big that I realized that soon my money would be running out after 2 years and 3 years. Then I went to the bank to see if bank can take it over, lend the money to the people. They said, no, bank cannot lend money to the poor people. So I got into big controversy with the banks. And that led me to challenge the whole banking system. I said, banking system is designed wrong way, etc., etc. Finally, I offered myself as a guarantor to the bank. So I said, you give the money, I'll become the guarantor. If somebody doesn't pay back, I pay back the money. So please, we can spend. And we did that. And nobody had any problem with paying back. So there's no reason I had to pay back. So it's getting back, but the banks were withdrawing it. Banks were very reluctant. They thought it will mess. It will never come back. It may work for a while. It will never come back. Work for a time. So they started restricting me. Then I became furious. I said, forget about the bank. I create my own bank. So I changed that idea to create my own bank. Finally, I succeeded in 1983. I began in 1976. In 83, I got the permission to create a bank. And we called it Grameen Bank or Village Bank. And the rest of the story, and it became big, 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 and it's expanded all over the country. Now, the idea has spread all over the world, and that's the story, how it began.
Thank you so much. I hear in that story persistence and innovation. And I had, as I was preparing for our discussion today, had an opportunity to look at some of the other talks that you have given. And one of the things that struck me is that I think your bank works a little bit differently from other banks. So could you tell us about what some of the practices or principles might be? You know, what are the practices and principles that were the foundation of your Grameen Bank that distinguished it from other lenders or banks at that time?
Okay. Well, I had no idea. I never had studied anything about banking, so I was completely blank about it. All I wanted to do, give the money and start to make it easy for them to pay me back so that I can take my money back so that I can keep on running this thing. And since it's becoming big, I need to have some kind of understanding of how banking is done, how accounting is done, what the principles of banking and so on. So I looked at the bank, how they do it. Every time I come across a decision that I have to make on this, I looked at the bank, how they do it. Once I find out and learn how they do it, I do the opposite. So everything they did, I started doing opposite. They go to the rich people, I went to the poor people. They go to men, I go to women. They go to the city, I go to the remote village. They ask for collateral, I said, forget about collateral. Collateral is a barrier, is a wall against the poor people to keep them separate. I said, break that wall. We don't need any collateral. We do things on trust. So we started being on trust. And they want the lawyers to come in to change everything. Banking cannot be done without lawyers. Banking cannot be done without collateral. So we broke this two things: collateral, no to collateral. With no collateral, we didn't need any lawyer at all in our system. So Grameen Bank became probably the only bank in the world which is lawyer-free. We have nothing to do with the lawyers. We don't have any legal issues and so on. So we continued that way. And then we wanted to concentrate on women. Today, very soon we became 97% of our borrowers are women. We're 9 million borrowers right now. 97% women. And it's owned by the poor people. That's again a reversal. Usually owned by rich people. We made it the other way. The poor people and poor women will be owning that bank. So I would say in short, we created something which is the reverse of the conventional banks. And it still continues that way. We have not changed anything. When we brought it out outside, we follow the same thing. We do the same thing in the United States. We created a bank called Grameen America, and we lend money to American poor women, and 100% women, no collateral, no guarantee, nothing. Most of these people are undocumented people. They don't even have a document of identity for themselves. Still, we give them the money. In the first 10 years, we have given over $1 billion in total. Startup loan will be somewhere $500, $700, $800. But in total, they got over $1 billion. Now we are lending at a speed almost like $1 billion a year. So that's the kind of spread it has made. We work in 14 cities.
Thank you very much, Professor. And it's so interesting that your statement there leads me to my next question, because there is clearly a nexus, I think, as shown by your model, between poverty alleviation and women's empowerment. Why do you think that so many of, your initial borrowers were women, and still, you have, as you said, 97% female borrowers? Could you tell me a little bit about the relationship you see between those two?
Yeah. You see, as I was doing, I got into a big fight with the banking system all the time. I would say, you're wrong, you designed it the wrong way, you do everything in the wrong way. For you, the more you have, you get more. If you have less, you don't get anything. That's your principle. I want to reverse. I want, if you have no less, you have nothing, we have the highest, you get the highest priority. So this is how we designed our system. And they focused on men, we focused on women, because in that time, not even 1% of the borrowers of all the commercial banks in Bangladesh put together, not 1% was women. So I was furious about that. I said, what kind of banking is that? That you focus only on the men, not only poor women, it's any woman, even the richest woman, you don't give the loan to her. And she's a businessman, she's a businesswoman, and so on. So I focused on women. Women are extremely reluctant to take money. It's not that they are running after the money. Men were the one, initially they were reluctant, but they started jumping after it became popular. But the women stayed out of it. So it took a hard task for us. I have to get many of my girl students to come and visit them again and again to build confidence in them. I said, don't worry about it. When they say we don't want to take money, it's a big risk for us. We don't want to create any problem for our family by taking money from you. I said, look, this is about the fear. I said, ever since they were born, they're bundled with fears. The whole world came with fears for them. So they are packed with fears. So they cannot say yes to you, which you would bring a completely new idea, which is a threatening idea for them. So our job is to go and peel off that fear layer by layer by layer, so that someday the real person can come out. They doesn't have any fear factors left in them. It will take years, and it did. It took us 6 years to come to the level where we are trying to achieve 50-50, 50% women, 50% men. And that's what took half the time, 6 years of time in doing that. And we are celebrating that. Finally, we made, everybody said, what do? They don't even know. They can't even count the money. I said, it's not about counting. It's about doing business with them. They will figure out how to count once they know the business. And they did. They found it out. And we are celebrating that. And we saw money going to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family than the money going to the family through men, because we still have the men. But their achievements in terms of benefit in the family is much less than the benefit the women bring for the family for the same amount of money. So we said, why are we wasting our money for giving it to the men? Why don't you give it to the women? It brings so much benefit to the children, to the household, everything is for the long-term ambitions of the family and so on. So we started concentrating on women, and it slowed us down completely, because men are the one quickly want to do it. Women needs lots of persuasion before she will take the loan. So, but now that they have done that, that's wonderful. And we never regret it, we celebrated it. And when Grameen is replicated elsewhere, they take this whole idea right away. The women, it's a difficult task. We warn them it's a difficult task, but you have to be patient. You have to get through. So we see how transformation in the family, transformation in the society comes when you kind of unleash the energy and the creativity of the women in the society.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's so inspiring and profound when we have a real example, because many people will say, oh yes, you know, women are better for family, you know, the money, as you said, builds the family, but you actually have the evidence of that. And, you know, we've done many, many studies at the World Bank that teaches us that, but you have been doing this now since, as you said, 1983, and you are actually showing the evidence of that, and it's fantastic. I wanted to change a little bit and speak a little bit about your interaction with the private sector. Because, you know, in development, we focus on the poor, we definitely focus on women, and, you know, microfinance is a very specific segment. But what I have seen is that over time, you have been interacting and engaging more with the private sector in an area that has, you know, I've only heard so much from you, the term social business, you know, exposing the private sector to different ways of working. So I would be very keen to hear what you believe is the role of the private sector in contributing to development solutions and what your experience has been in this regard.
It's good. I'm glad you raised that issue. When you say private sector, people immediately has an image of what a private sector is. Private sector means it's a profit-driven sector, personal profit-driven sector. So what I have done, I have not gone to the private sector in that sense. So I'm stayed away from that. I'm not in the profit-making sector, personal profit-making sector, because I was saying that economists interpreted human beings in the wrong way and driven us into the wrong direction of creating that profit-driven sector that we see, because they saw maximization of profit is the mission of the business. If you kind of derail from that mission, you're gone, finished. You're not in the business anymore. So I said, that's a completely wrong idea, that the business has to be only driven by the personal interest. I said, human beings are both driven by personal interest and collective interest, common interest. So that common interest part is forgotten by the economics. So I said, that's why we created a whole world, which is today is facing almost extinction. So we are coming to an end of the civility we created because of the global warming. It's a contribution of the private sector, the entire global warming that we have done. And at the same time, wealth concentration. This is also a great contribution of the private sector. And then artificial intelligence is coming. That's also a contribution of the private sector. Private sector meaning of the kind that you talk about, the personal profit-driven businesses. I said, so this is the end of that civilization, because we cannot go further than what we have done, because very soon it will be over. We are coming to a stage where human being will be extinct. And we say right now, human being is the most endangered species on this planet, because all the people who are in climate change issues and so on, they tell us we have a couple of decades or at best 3 decades left before it becomes unlivable planet for all of us. And we are not doing much about it. The private sector has not done much about it. They promised many things, but done very little. So when you serve a private sector, I'm saying that there's another sector which will be driven by collective interest. It's a business to solve the problem of the people, common problems. It's not for me, for everybody else. And that's what I said. This is not personal profit driven. It's a mission driven for solving problems. And that's a business that I created called social business. So both money-making business and social business can run side by side. It's up to you to decide, person to decide. It's not us. So that idea kind of catch up in the private sector, the corporate sector and so on. They wanted to explore that. They wanted to get involved with that. That's why we have joint ventures with big corporates like Danone. We have joint ventures with Danone. But when they create a joint venture, this is a joint venture as a social business. We don't get involved with anything else but social business. So they have to step out to their territory and come to the new territory that we are designing for them with social business. And we have social business with the private sector like Danone. We have joint ventures with the Uniqlo from Japan. We have joint ventures with BASF from Germany. We have joint ventures with McCain from Canada. So many such companies that we have done, many more is coming, and we are doing that, we are enjoying it. So we said, this is the only way we can save this planet, because this is a sure death route that we have taken, not much time left. So unless we redesign ourselves, redirect ourselves, we cannot escape. I said, if you go by the old roads built by the quote unquote private sector, this is a danger path. So you have to redesign it to go other direction. If you go to the old road will take you to the extinction part. So if you want to see a new life, you have to build a new road. And the new road is about social business and other we have been raising to make that happen. So that's the kind of thing. And we're not hated for saying that. People listen to that. People see what they can do about it. Can they reorganize their private sector? I said, of course, there are a lot of improvements, but that doesn't solve the problem. It can slightly improve it. But it slows down, but it doesn't stop. We have to stop because we are rushing in a train to our death sentence. So we don't have to rush that way. We have to divert it. We have to create a new track, new train to take us to the new path where we say we build a world of 3 zeros. 0 net carbon emission, 0 wealth concentration, and 0 artificial intelligence, or say 0 unemployment. Artificial intelligence can be a blessing too, but this is coming in a wrong direction, taking away jobs from everybody. So this is the kind of artificial intelligence that we don't want to have. I said, we don't want artificial intelligence to make human beings as a garbage this planet. I don't want to be this planet.
Professor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The time always goes so quickly when the conversation is interesting.
I know.
And we have lots of other questions, but I wanted to take a couple of others that I think would have come directly to him. Yeah. The first one has a little bit to do with risk management. I'm sure we have some business people in our audience who are saying, oh, it's nice, all of the things that the professor has said about, you know, sort of turning business on its head. But if you have a bank, one of the principal concerns that you have is how do you ensure that you get paid back? So at what point were you able to kind of ensure that this model would work in terms of risk management? What sort of steps did your team take to try to ensure or to deal with and manage the risks associated with non-payment in what is typically a risky population, that is the poor?
Yeah. Well, it's not a one-shot solution that we got into. We faced problem, case by case, we wanted to see how it can be done because we are dealing with human beings. We're not dealing with machines or something. So we start talking to each other. Why? That person is not an unknown person. We know her, we sit down with her. She gives her all the problems she faced because she couldn't pay back. That's the reason she couldn't pay back. And we're very sympathetic to her. We are not angry with her. So sometimes we're in a money-making business. If somebody doesn't follow your rules, you get angry with the person. That's not how we responded. We said, well, if she couldn't pay back, what is the reason for what she couldn't pay back? We trained our borrowers to think in that direction because we work with the groups, 5-member groups. If I want to borrow money from Grameen Bank, I have to find 4 other friends to join me to form a group of 5. And that's one very important part of Grameen Bank methodology. And one of the training or discussion issues are, if one of your friends is not paying back the loan, what would you like to do to make her agree to pay back? And everybody says, oh, I will go and catch her and make sure that she pays back. How can she violate the rules of our group and our bank and so on? She has to go back. So we know that this is the natural answer for them. So then we sit down with them. Please don't get angry with her. This is our first lesson in Grameen Bank. Never get angry with the person who couldn't bring back the money she borrowed. First, try to find out why she couldn't pay back. And once she tells the story, maybe tears will come in your eyes. Instead of getting angry, you become sympathetic to her. Why? Because her husband took the money and ran away with the money. and she lost the husband, she lost the money. Good. Now, what do? You get angry with her? Listen, no, we don't want to get angry with her. We sympathize with her. So you sympathize with her. Tell her, give her courage. And then you get into action. Try to catch her husband. Because your husband is also a friend of her husband. Because this is in close families. So go and chase him with your husband, with their husbands. And they will find, they know exactly where he is. And if you're successful to catch him and bring him back to her, this will be a big success. Don't worry about the money. Money part is the next thing. First, bring her husband back to her family. So if you do that, and maybe he has already spent the money away, throw his money away. So no matter what you do, she cannot pay back. So one of the things you should do is to restore her, to give her more money, rather than trying to take money. Now make sure that she gets back. She feels confident again, and she's not abandoned. She's your friend. She's your group member, means your family member now. You don't throw away family members, to restore her. And that's the way. If you restore, she'll be very grateful to you. She'll not only pay back this loan, she'll also gradually pay back the loan she couldn't pay back. We are not forgiving her that loan, but this will be a long-term loan in the book. We don't worry about it. We are more interested in her than the money that she took. So that's our attention. We explain what the purpose of the bank is. And that's how we solve this problem. We don't have a rule that, okay, if you don't catch her, punish her, give a penalty, or go to the police to arrest her, something like that. We don't go that far. So this example probably explain how personal contact is a solution that we want to make from that. Everywhere, this is the same thing everywhere that we work.
Professor, thank you.
Thank you.
I had two other quick questions, and we have to go because we're running out of time. But the question on risk was a question from one of our attendees called Clement. We had a question that had to do with entrepreneurship. And you say entrepreneurs are problem solvers. I've watched you, and you've said, when you see a problem, you start a business. So could you tell us a little bit about how you see problem solving and entrepreneurship? To speak a little bit on that very quickly, and then after that, maybe we'd like to ask you about COVID-19.
I'll go quickly. One of the things you may have noticed in my discussions, that I say that human beings are not job seekers. They are not made for jobs. Economists misinterpreted us and made us job seekers. We are born as entrepreneurs. This is our natural self. So the economics has closed down our natural instinct and imposed an artificial instinct to become a job seeker. So what we try to do is to encourage natural entrepreneurship to come back. So that what it will come back? I said the finance is the fuel of entrepreneurship. If you put money on the table, everybody will be entrepreneur. Since that money is not available, the banks don't do the business like that. So people have to work for somebody who got the money. Otherwise, I could have done the same thing. I don't have to work for him. He has the money, I don't have the money. That's the only difference. So we have to redesign the entire banking system so that we can become the true self, the entrepreneur rather than job seeker. And our education system is wrong because the economists told them that way, that we create our young people as job-ready young people. I said, that's absolutely wrong. You're destroying their inherent ability to become an entrepreneur. So you should be, now that you pride yourself that you produce job-ready young people, you should be producing life-ready young people, not job-ready young people. And in the being life-ready, they will be the entrepreneurs and they'll change the world by entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are people who take a risk and get things done. Then you mentioned about the problem. Entrepreneurs of two kinds. One, they can do the profit making, personal profit. They want to make more money. That's the current one, the private sector. The other one, the social business. I don't want to make money, but I want to solve problems. That's what the problem solving businesses that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people who want to make money. I can make money, but that's not a problem creating. I don't want to go into fossil fuel business. That's a problem creating. I don't want to go into plastic business. That's a problem making. I don't want to grow cattle. That's a problem making. So entrepreneur doesn't mean problem solving. They're mostly problem making. All the global warming thing we're talking about is the contribution of the global businesses. So the business doesn't mean problem solving. They created major problem, threatening the whole existence of human being on this planet. So I'm talking about other kind of businesses who are created to solve problems. And they are the one with the social business. They don't want to make money for themselves. They want to solve the problem of water. They want to solve the problem of environment, forestry, agriculture, whatever. So they are the one. They start the business. How do I solve this problem? How do I make this unemployed young person to become entrepreneur? And I create, this is the problem. That thing, how do I create a business to make this person, an unemployed young person, turn into an entrepreneur? So I came up with it. That's a problem solving business. So I said, those kind of things, if you see a problem, it tickles you how to create a business to solve the problem. If I see a sick person, I want to come with a social business, an idea of a business, how to cure this person in my business way, so that she doesn't have to suffer through the pain. So this is the kind that I'm talking, the problem solving exclusively. It has no other purpose but to solve problems. That's the problem solving business we are talking about.
Thank you so much, Professor. I think I'm going to squeeze the time. We're supposed to be closing at 12:30, but I can't let go of you yet. This is really very challenging for me. So I'm going to try to squeeze another couple of minutes in and sort of put together a question that both things are intriguing. First, on COVID, you mentioned you have been home, and I'm very happy that you have been home, because a treasure like you, we want to keep. We don't want to take any risks. So it's nice that you are there safe and looking extremely well. But it is a global problem for us. And as you are somebody who solves problems, I'm sure that as you have been sitting at home, you've been sort of thinking about what is this challenge that is before us, and sort of maybe what opportunities can we take from it. And this, I think, also dovetails very well with a question from one of our attendees, Anita, who is asking, you know, what is the next challenge of Professor Yunus and his team? What is he looking at next to try to tackle? So maybe a way of managing both of those questions, COVID being the challenge before us.
I'll go quickly on this, both of them quickly, and add something on my own to you for to get connected with you. One is during the COVID, I was raising out of many questions that it has proven how our economic system is wrongly designed. Once more, half the population of the world suddenly fell from whatever livelihood they had, and suddenly without income, without food, without anything, and economic system has created that situation where people are literally hanging by their nail. And this is not just few people. Corona shown they are half the population of the entire world. And if you go to the $2 a day world, $3 day people, they are the half the population. But if you go $5.50 globally, irrespective of everything, that covers more than half the population of the entire world, $5.50. So what is this economy that we built that we can keep? And then we have all the wealth of the world at the top. 1% of the population having 99% of the wealth of the entire world. That's the kind of world that we get. I said that coronavirus suddenly showed us people's income went down, they lost income, they lost food, but the billionaires had trillions of dollars made during this pandemic. Is this economy going? So this is the question that raised in my mind. I said, people are trying to go back, all economists are trying to go back, governments are trying to go back to pre-pandemic situation, to build the economy back to the pre-pandemic situation. I'm saying the decision should be no going back. We don't want to go back, because that is a path of disaster. So this is an opportunity to turn around, go 180 degrees again on the other side. So instead of going this way, we go the other way. So everything we do, we have to do the now reverse way, so that we have put the whole gear in the reverse way. So this is the lesson we have learned during the pandemic. Second, vaccines. Look at the vaccines. What happened? The rich countries bought up all the vaccines. They don't care whether the poor people have it. And here we are screaming to make the vaccines as a common good, as a public good, so that it's available to every single person. Everybody can produce it anywhere they want. So now it is the profit maximization of the pharmaceutical companies versus the life. And we are all human beings are sinking, drowned by the corona. All were sinking, same condition. But some people got some boats. They designed some boats to stay afloat. They are saying you can buy this boat if you're the highest bidder. So they are trying to do business with the life of the people. So this should not be a competition between the life and the maximization of profit. So this is what we are doing. We are encouraging their profit maximization rather than let people go. So I say it should be common good and it should be available to everybody. Only thing, your intellectual property right has to be given to WHO so that it doesn't owned by anybody. So WHO can make it available to anybody who wants to produce anywhere, so that they can produce it at their cost, not the $14, $15, whatever dollar they're asking for. We don't have to go by that one. We can produce it in a local condition. These are the two things I'll mention that this corona has shown very vividly how selfish that human being on this planet we have built because of the system that we built, because of the policies we pursue. And it's here I conclude, but I wanted to just mention, we're very happy to get connected with the Rwanda, because we are trying to see, some work of social business we are doing in Uganda and Kenya and so on. And the local people are doing that, but we always miss the Rwanda part. If anybody is interested, if you pass it on to us, we'll explain, particularly one university. If you find a university where we can create a social business center so that you can discuss this thing freely, you can criticize us to the death, doesn't matter, but you please have an idea what this is all about. What young people may like them. Young people may like to create their own world. The world where all these things will not be there. So there'll be no global warming, no wealth concentration, and so on. And Rwanda is in a better place because you are not up in the sky yet. You're just starting. So you have not gone in that path far enough. It's easy to turn around. So how to make the turnaround possible for the young people of Rwanda? So if you get connected with us, some people who will be interested in this work will be very happy to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. We have the University of Rwanda, some of the professors online. So
yes, I'll be very happy to connect. As many universities as they wish. Yeah,
we'll very put it in your office.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Thank you.
I think we have come to our end of time. I want to say thank you, Professor. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it a lot. And I want to say thank you very much to our moderator, Rolande Pryce. She's doing an amazing work at World.
Thank you. You did wonderful. You're fantastic.
Wonderful. And I want to say thank you to all our audience and special ambassadors who joined us, Ambassador Ron and our colleagues from Germany and EU. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I wish everybody a good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.